Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, the Mastering Marketing Agility channel, where we take you beyond the buzzword, beyond the basics, and beyond the BS so that you can actually master agility inside of marketing. Now, we are continuing the deep dive into some of the Agile best practices that are designed to help us manage marketing within a crisis situation. Most of us are still in a crisis situation at this point. And so the concept that we are going to go deep on today is the idea of limiting work in progress. You have probably encountered this idea as a WIP limit, W-I-P, limit, work in progress limit. Essentially, this means don't work on a whole bunch of stuff at the same time. It sounds really straightforward when you say it like that, but go take a look at your to-do list right now and then honestly tell me how many of them you are currently trying to do. If it's more than 3, you are wasting a huge amount of your productive time on what's called context switching. Okay. I just threw some terms out there for you. We need to dive into what they mean and how we actually use them to manage through difficult times. But first, I need to ask you quickly to like this video, subscribe to this channel, or drop me a quick little comment to let me know that you are enjoying and finding useful these coronavirus deep dives that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Hopefully, we will be able to return to our regularly scheduled programming soon. But in the meantime, I want to continue to offer up Agile options for dealing with these times of uncertainty. So if they're being helpful to you, please let me know. All right, so first thing, using work in progress limits to manage context switching. Now, context switching is what we used to call multitasking. Do you remember when it was cool to be a multitasker and they would put it in job descriptions? You would put on your resume that you were an excellent multitasker. If you come across a job right now that asks you to be a good multitasker, do not apply for that job. Multitasking is the worst, okay? What we've discovered is that humans don't multitask. We switch back and forth from one task to another. This is why texting and driving is terrible, because you're not actually texting and driving. You're just texting, and then you crash because you're not driving. It's an extreme example, but it applies to the act of doing work as well. So if I am trying to focus on editing this video so that I can get it out to my beautiful YouTube subscribers, and I have my email window open nearby and I see emails coming in, and I stop editing the video to go and answer those emails, I have now context switched. My brain has gone from video editing mode to email answering mode, and there's a cost associated with that move. My brain doesn't just go poof and instantly into email editing mode. It has to process the email, it has to remember the context behind this email chain, and then it has to compose a reply, and then it has to go back to remember where were we in the video editing process, what needed to be done, what had already been done, and this takes a long time. Our brain's gears like grind. It doesn't quite work very smoothly. And so the time it takes to do that transition is context switching cost. And the more things you do at any given time, the higher the context switching cost you must pay. Okay? So we're going to show a little chart here to illustrate how bad this is. Okay? So one project, great. No problem. You have 100% of your productive time available to the thing. As you add more, you lose more and more of your time to switching back and forth between those things. Once we get down to 5 things in progress at the same time, which given the state of most of our to-do list doesn't actually even sound like that many, once we hit that point, we are losing 75% of our time just to switching. all gone. 75% of your time. Poof. Bye-bye. No more. Not good. We don't want that. So instead, we want to keep the number of things we are doing simultaneously as low as possible. 1, if you can manage it. 2 is the outside. 3 is like in case of emergency only. When we have 2, this is enough for us to like say, I'm kind of fried on writing this article right now. I really need to go and rehearse my presentation for the webinar next week. So I'm going to switch gears and give my brain a little bit of a break before I come back to that task that's kind of difficult and time consuming. And that's fine. We can do that when we have a low work in progress limit of something like 2, right? So for an individual person, 2 things is the most that should be active. What it means is that when we have 2 things in progress, we are not going to start a third one until one of them is done. Now there's room and a new project can begin. What I'm not saying here is that you can only do one thing all day. No one's saying that. It just means that until you finish something, you can't start something else. You have a big list, right? We have a backlog. We have things that we want to work on over the course of a day, a week, but we're not putting them all active at once because now we have to try to jump back and forth between all of them, and it expands the time that all of them will take. They've tracked this in software for a long, long time. If you want to get things done faster, like a release of software done faster, you cut the number of things in that release. It's fairly self-explanatory when you say it like that, but it becomes a lot harder to do when we get down to our actual individual activity level. But this is where the power is, especially right now. This is where we can make a difference by cranking through a whole bunch of work because we're going to now stop starting and start finishing. Finish the press release before you start to update social media. Finish the slide deck before you go and answer your email. This means you might have to turn your email off for a while. Pause your Slack notifications. These are relevant and useful ways to spend your time. You don't have to have them on all the time. Even right now, go away from constant response mode for even an hour and just get stuff done. Work in progress limits are the best way to do this. They're hard, they hurt, but they work really, really well. Do them as an individual, keep it super low, like 2 or 3. Do it as a team, right? And then you can say for our team of 3, we have a WIP limit of 7. We can all be working on different things, but we're trying to keep the number of things low overall. Lots of ways to use this. The idea is key, right? Stop starting, start finishing. Do more by doing less. More WIP limits, less context switching will allow you to respond in a crisis in a more measured and deliberate way and get more things done. Go do it now. Put a WIP limit on yourself. If it's just you, just WIP limit of 2 things at once, and see how much more you're able to accomplish. Let me know in the comments if this is helpful for you, and I will keep implementing my own WIP limits, painful though they may be, so that we can come through this crisis and continue to master marketing agility, both now and always. Thank you for being here. Stay safe, stay healthy, go wash your hands.